Please take your seats and silence your cell phones. The ceremony will begin shortly. Please take your seats and silence your cell phones. The ceremony will begin shortly.
Years ago, I told you that we would think big, that we'd write a new playbook, that we would put government back on the side of working families, that we would be bold, and we didn't waste any time.
Just 33 days into office, signing a bill to gradually raise the minimum wage up to $15 an hour.
For the first time since 2001, the state is paying its bill on time.
Moody's credit rating agency upgraded the state's bond rating for the first time in more than 20 years.
Relief from grocery tax, gas tax, and even savings in property taxes.
We achieved something that has eluded state government for decades. We passed a real balanced budget.
Today, Governor JB Pritzker signed the bill that would make using pot legal starting January 1st.
A $45 billion capital spending plan. The Rebuild Illinois plan will help build and upgrade roads and bridges across the state.
A new law will cap the cost of insulin for people in Illinois.
Historic energy legislation for the state. The new law will cement Illinois as a national leader in fighting climate change.
Governor Pritzker says he is expanding access to higher education.
Illinois has added nearly 250,000 jobs over the last year.
The most progressive abortion protection bill in the country.
The governor stressed that abortion bans endanger women, adding that Illinois will always be a state where women have the right to choose.
We proudly proclaim that in this state, we trust women.
Illinois now leads the nation in COVID-19 testing.
Illinois is winning the race when it comes to the vaccine rollout,
requiring gun dealers to earn state certification.
Senate Bill 825 will expand access to the ballot box.
I choose to fight. I choose to fight to protect Illinois families. I choose to fight to protect our workers. I choose to fight for women's rights, for civil rights, for voting rights. I choose to fight for the better world imagined by those who never let their hopes be reined in by their experiences. I choose to fight the fights my mother never gave up on, the fights she left for me to finish.
JB Pritzker, the winner tonight.
Nearly 2-to-1 margin. The Associated Press calling the race within minutes of the polls closing.
To the people of Illinois, thank you for placing your trust in me to carry out this mission for 4 more years. I won't let you down.
Good morning and welcome to the 2023 Illinois Inauguration. Please rise and remain standing for the presentation of colors, the singing of the national anthem, and lift every voice and sing. To perform the national anthem, please welcome the Southern Illinois Children's Reunion Choir, directed by Alice Berry.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red
To perform Lift Every Voice and Sing, please welcome Tiffany Mathis.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on, let us march on till victory is won. Thank you.
To deliver the invocation, please welcome Rabbi David Saperstein.
Zeh Hayom Asa Adonai. This is the day that God has made. Rejoice and be glad in it. Eternal God, we ask your blessings this day on this great state of Illinois, on each and every one of its citizens and residents, on those whose dreams have been fulfilled, and especially on those whose dreams are yet to be fulfilled. Those who are still hungry, who shiver on our winter streets, who are oppressed when our rule of law fails them, who are victims of gun violence in the very houses in which we worship you, in our schools and on our streets. How is it, God, that we can find only the most anemic solutions to our bloodiest problem? On this day of inauguration, be with Juliana Stratton in her vital leadership and with all who will hold office with Governor JB Pritzker in their service to the people of Illinois. Guide them, inspire them, empower them that they may never lose sight of the noble task to which they are called. And most especially on this day, so filled with renewed hope and promise, we ask your blessings on JB Pritzker, this good man, this visionary, caring leader who has so dedicated himself to the betterment of all. Grant him wisdom and compassion, strength and understanding, courage and empathy, that he may ever do your work here on earth. Be with his beloved wife, MK, and his children, these young adults, Teddy and Don as well, that all their lives be fulfilled, even as they may ever be an oasis of support and peace for him. And at this time of division in our nation, in our states, bind up the wounds that divide us, and do so in the words of a cherished son of Illinois, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right. Indeed, as we stand before this very tapestry of Americans gathered in this great hall, may our diversity be seen as a blessing of the many gifts it brings to this state and to our nation, that we truly may become a more perfect union, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May this governor and all who work with him be blessed to see the day when, because of the work of their hands, justice truly shall well up like waters, righteousness like a mighty stream, and towards that day, eternal God, let them go forward with confidence, undaunted by the challenges facing them, committed that through their work, the torch of hope will pass from hand to hand, from heart to heart, until the radiance of justice, peace, and righteousness for all fills every corner of this state. And let us say, Amen.
To perform a selection of original music, please welcome Uniting Voices Chicago, conducted by Josephine Lee and Judy Hansen.
Look into the future, let me see what it holds. Go in the direction of a journey unknown. When we're so divided, we just have to be strong and live for tomorrow. I know that we will make a change. We'll come together and ignite the flame. There's no reason we can't start today, 'cause we're united. United, we don't have to do this alone. United, we are stronger, singing as one. United.
To perform a selection of patriotic music, please welcome the Illinois Air National Guard Band of the Midwest, 566th Air Force Band, conducted by Lieutenant Colonel Brian Miller. to swear the oath of office of governor, please welcome Governor JB Pritzker, accompanied by First Lady MK Pritzker, Teddy Pritzker, and Don Pritzker. The oath will be administered by the Honorable Mary Jane Tice.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, JB Pritzker,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Governor
of the office of Governor
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Governor.
Thank you very much. Love you.
Okay, Donnie. Take the big one.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Well, during this last campaign over the last year, I drove all across the state, and I couldn't help but notice that people had put up some signs in their yards that said, "Fire Pritzker." I was concerned about this until my kids pointed out that when people in their generation think something is really cool, they say, "That's fire." So I want to take this moment to thank everyone who put up those very encouraging signs. Today, as every day, I feel blessed to stand with my compassionate and dedicated partner in governance and your Lieutenant Governor, the outstanding Juliana Stratton. Officially retiring today is one of Illinois' finest leaders ever. His legacy stands as an example to everyone who aspires to serve the public interest. On behalf of the people of Illinois, please join me in giving thanks to our inimitable Secretary of State, Jesse White. I want to acknowledge our other distinguished guests here today, beginning with the love of my life and the First Lady, MK Pritzker, and our children, Teddy and Don Pritzker. Chief Justice Mary Jane Tice, House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch, Senate President Don Harmon, Leader Tony McCombie, Leader John Curran, Attorney General Kwame Raoul, Secretary of State-elect Alexi Giannoulias, Comptroller Susana Mendoza, Treasurer Mike Frericks, members of the General Assembly, members of our congressional delegation, Governor Jim Edgar, Governor Pat Quinn, and National Guard Adjutant General Major General Rich Neely. To all of you, on behalf of the people of Illinois, thank you for your service and your sacrifice. Now, 4 years ago, I stood on this very stage and I laid out a vision for change in Illinois, one that was elevated by our shared hope for better days ahead and forged by a common belief that the smarts and hard work and the goodness of Illinoisans has always overcome adversity. Our hope was buttressed by the past resilience of our people who have survived wars and a Great Depression, 2 global pandemics, devastating tornadoes, fires, and floods, yet who have made this the birthplace of national movements for justice, advancements, world-renowned advancements in innovation, and cultural achievements second to none. Our hope is perhaps rooted in our unique ability to endure Midwestern winters year after year, knowing that there is always a glorious summer on the way. Our hope is spurred on by the knowledge that the doomsayers who eagerly prophesy total misery every time Illinois faces an honest challenge have unintentionally inspired a generation of leaders with a resilient optimism for our future. The hope we share, the hope I expressed at my first inauguration, was born of a truth lodged firmly in my heart, that Illinois has always stood at the intersection of American ambition and human resilience. And that combination is what has made this the greatest state in the Union. So 4 years ago, with hope in our hearts and persistence in our souls, we went to work, and we got big things done. We balanced the budget and got credit upgrades. We raised the minimum wage. We're modernizing our transportation systems. We legalized cannabis. Oh, I see all of you, yeah. We protected reproductive freedom in our laws. We took nation-leading climate action that's growing our energy production. We instituted nursing home reforms to increase staffing and safety. We saved taxpayers' money by consolidating pension systems and provided real middle-class tax relief to help families overcome inflation. We added better-paying jobs. We grew our economy to $1 trillion, protected workers' rights, and expanded health care coverage. Amid a rise in intolerance and fascism throughout the United States, with increasing attacks on our most vulnerable populations, Illinois has decisively moved to protect civil rights, human rights, and voting rights by enshrining them directly in state statute. We did all of those things while fighting to survive a historic crisis, one that has left a deep imprint on every one of us. One of the realities I learned about being a governor is that there's no permanent playbook to follow. Every 4 years brings different challenges than the 4 years past. All that you can do is become a student of history and of the people who came before you, to try and learn from their victories and their defeats, their triumphs and their challenges. I've taken to learning from the words and actions of past governors, regardless of their political affiliations or leanings. Though let's be honest, in Illinois, choosing which ones to learn from can be a challenge. But we've had more than 200 years of governors, and regardless of the adversities they faced, most of them put the people first. And I've tried to discern from the things those governors said publicly what they may have been wrestling with privately. Dwight Green became governor of Illinois in 1941. He was the prosecutor who successfully put Al Capone behind bars and fought organized crime in Chicago in the 1930s. When he won the governorship, he was suddenly faced with leading one of the largest states during a time of global upheaval. His first inaugural address was given on January 13th, 1941, as a world war was raging on, but before the United States had been drawn in. Green's tone was somber but bullish. He said, "The political upheavals in Europe resulted when the people lost faith in the ability of their governments to meet their needs. Here in America, where the ideals and hopes of freedom still prevail, we must never permit the same tragic spirit of despair to overcome us." Now, by the time Governor Green gave his second inaugural speech on January 8th, 1945, the world weariness he must have felt seems to peek through as he talks about the waning days of the war. Throughout the decades, Illinois has written many illustrious pages into the history of our country. Now, in more than 3 tragic years of all-out warfare against the destroyers of freedom, our men and women have inscribed new and even more glorious chapters into the record of patriotism. By their incomparable bravery, they have sanctified the final victory. Now, I suspect that Governor Green, wrestling with the unbearable cost of a terrible conflict, was attempting to comfort his people in that second inaugural address, to express how deeply he felt the loss of the 18,601 Illinoisans who were killed during World War II. I think everyone here knows a little about that feeling of loss. Over the last 3 years, we lost 35,814 Illinoisans to COVID-19. That grief and the desire to comfort are all too familiar to me. There's a day that stands out over others, and it was the day in September of 2020 when I sat in the chapel at the University of Chicago listening to the husband of Joyce Pacubus LeBlanc, one of the first nurses to die of COVID-19 in Illinois. Lawrence LeBlanc spoke of the intense love he had for his wife. He ended his tribute to Joyce, saying, "If I had another 10 lifetimes to live, and I had to choose, it would be with her." I did not know at that point that the pandemic would rage on to an even higher peak for another year and a half, that so many more people would die or fall ill, that the disruption to our lives, our well-beings, our livelihoods was far from over. But that evening, at that chapel, I just knew that I was the governor, and I had a responsibility to Lawrence LeBlanc and to his beloved Joyce to honor his words and her passing, and to make real the sacred prayer that I said nearly every day at the podium. May their memory be for a blessing. The difficult thing about governing through unprecedented times is that it's your job to set the precedent, to find a path, even when none appears to exist, to lift up the frontline heroes, the essential workers on whom we all rely, to make the hard decisions to protect those doing the very hard work of keeping us all together. As governor, it's your job to plan for the future, even as you continue to grapple with the past. That's a lesson tucked into Governor Green's second inaugural speech, which, while filled with somber remembrance, also set a second-term agenda for post-war Illinois, even before the war ended. So today, as Illinois continues its progress, overcoming our historical fiscal challenges and a deadly global pandemic. I come to you with an agenda as ambitious and bold as our people are, thinking not only about the next 4 years, but about the next 40. Our long-term ambitions must begin with a focus on the people for whom we are building. No policy proposal that I could advance will have a greater impact on our future than the quality care and education we afford to our very youngest residents. For more than 20 years before I became governor, I worked with national leaders and experts in early childhood development to make it a national policy priority. It's time for Illinois to lead. The research is clear. Quality childcare affords parents the opportunity to work or attend school and pursue greater economic security. And preschool improves academic success for our children, yields higher graduation rates, raises lifetime earnings potential, and saves taxpayers money. That's why I propose we go all in for our children and make preschool available to every family throughout the state. And let's not stop there. Let's provide more economic security for families by eliminating childcare deserts and expanding childcare options. It's also our obligation to make college more affordable by removing financial barriers. That's why we need to bring down the cost of higher education. Since I took office, we've increased scholarships by more than 50%. Now let's focus on making tuition free for every working class family in Illinois. Of course, none of this matters if you can't afford a life-saving prescription or procedure. We already capped the cost of insulin, but we ought to continue making health care coverage more affordable and more widespread. Health care is a right, not a privilege. Focusing on the future of working families and making everyday life easier and more affordable for people is what I believe government ought to be all about. We've done a lot on this in recent years. Balancing the budget, paying off debt, and eliminating interest on overdue bills has made it possible for us to provide tax relief. Let's work toward more permanent tax relief. Improving our roads has saved hundreds of dollars a year for drivers, which matters even more when you know that one flat tire or one auto repair can lead to a genuine fiscal emergency or even the loss of a job for many people. Lifting up working families and children also means doing everything that we can to free them from the dangers of gun violence. 4 years ago, during my inaugural speech, I memorialized the victims of the Mercy Hospital shooting. A few weeks after I took office in 2019, I stood with the people of Aurora after the Henry Pratt Company workplace shooting. And as we gather today, we acknowledge the victims of the Benito Juarez High School shooting just this past month. I'm tired of living in a world where a mass shooting needs a title so that you know which one we're referring to. Hospitals, high schools, homes, parades, offices. There's no place, geographic or otherwise, that's been spared from the threat of gun violence. Whether it's ghost guns, high-powered semi-automatic rifles, or modified rapid-fire handguns, dangerous weapons are putting families and law enforcement at risk. Now, I'm a firm believer that government functions best when we look for compromise. But I'm done with the NRA having its way when it comes to mass shootings. Why do we allow anyone to easily purchase a rapid-fire, high-capacity weapon that can kill dozens of unarmed people in under a minute? When I campaigned for re-election and promised to pass an assault weapons ban, 8 states already had one. Very soon, Illinois must be the 9th. And we ought to have a real accounting of the assault weapons currently in circulation. Let's get it done, and then the federal government should follow our lead. One thing last year proved is that if given the chance, a bunch of right-wing judges and legislators will take away women's rights. Well, Illinois spoke loudly and decisively in 2022 and declared that in the land of Lincoln, we trust women. The right to privacy and bodily autonomy demand that we establish a constitutional protection for reproductive rights in Illinois. The extremists still want to take away a woman's right to choose, and I don't intend to let them. That's why, yet again, on women's rights, Illinois will lead. Finally, our success as a state goes hand in hand with a determination to fight against a rising tide of hate. Old evils will always find new haters to bring them back to life. Yesterday's Father Coughlin becomes today's Tucker Carlson. Racism, anti-Semitism, xenophobia, misogyny, homophobia have existed in some form or another throughout our entire history. For some, the ugly voices that sing those discordant notes sound like siren calls. Their message is amplified by elected officials or political grifters who look to harness the tremendous power of hate for their own ambition. They pledge allegiance to our nation with one hand and then usher in the means of its destruction with the other. Years before I ever thought about running for governor, I was approached by a man named Sam Harris about the possibility of helping to build a Holocaust museum in Illinois. Sam sat down at my conference table and conspicuously propped his watch up on its wristband, and he said, "I just need 3 minutes of your time." What I didn't know is that Sam had been a highly successful insurance executive earlier in his life, and this is how he would start every meeting. Those 3 minutes turned into 10 years of my life working to build the Illinois Holocaust Museum and Education Center. But it was Sam's personal story that has had the most impact on me over time. You see, Sam is a Holocaust survivor himself. He was born in Deblin, Poland, and when the Nazis invaded his town, they murdered Sam's parents, all of his relatives except 2 sisters, and all of his friends. Sam miraculously escaped extermination in 2 concentration camps, the conditions of which are almost unspeakable. After the war, he was placed in an orphanage in Poland and eventually was adopted by Dr. and Mrs. Ellis Harris in Northbrook, Illinois. Sam is remarkable. For nearly 30 years, he has traveled the country to tell his story, to impress upon people that when hatred and bigotry go unchecked, democracy will come to an end and even potentially lead to genocide. I've learned an awful lot from Sam, and I've realized that for my entire lifetime, progress has been made against bigotry and intolerance, but not anymore. None of us should ignore that our nation has slid noticeably backward, and dangerously so. Just in the last few years, we've seen gunmen killing dozens of Jewish and Black parishioners while they prayed, swastikas spray painted on Jewish grave markers, anti-vaxxers attacking Asian American seniors, vandalism and intimidation against Muslim Americans and the LGBTQ+ community. Hate crimes are increasing at an alarming rate. Sam's story reminds me today, as I start a second term as your governor, that the battles for freedom and democracy that Governor Green thought we had fought and won are being fought once again right here at home. That old evils must be faced head on yet again by a new generation. But I bring hope to the battles ahead because time and time again, the people of Illinois prevail when challenges arise. The families of Taylorville didn't give up when a tornado wiped out 100 homes and 22 people were injured. They helped each other out, and the community came together to rebuild. When schools closed for 8 weeks in 2020, 300 volunteers from Lombard, Villa Park, and Oak Brook Terrace rode on a fleet of school buses and provided curbside delivery of 32,000 meals to 3,200 low-income children who would have otherwise gone without a meal. When food banks were facing shortages during the worst parts of the pandemic, Central Illinois farmers delivered tons of free produce. Hate needs two things to thrive: the sense of helplessness that fertilizes hopelessness, and the willingness of powerful people to cower in front of a lie. Illinois, we have power and we have hope, and a genuine goodness that is rooted in being the place in this country to which all people can come and live free. We must recognize that hate can wield enormous strength, but we must remember the fortitude with which we have always confronted it. Our history gives me hope and confidence that we will never falter. I'm honored to stand alongside you as we face the battles ahead together as one Illinois. God bless you. God bless the great state of Illinois, and God bless the United States of America.
And now, to swear the oath of office of Lieutenant Governor, please welcome Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, accompanied by Second Gentleman Brian Eccles, Tyler Stratton, Cassidy Stratton, and Ryan Stratton. The oath will be administered by the Honorable Fredrina M. Lyle.
You want to raise your right hand and put the left hand on the Bible and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Juliana Stratton,
do solemnly affirm.
Do solemnly affirm.
That I will support the Constitution.
That I will support the Constitution.
Of the United States.
Of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
And the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
And that I will faithfully discharge.
And I will faithfully discharge.
The duties of the office of Lieutenant Governor.
The duties of the office of Lieutenant Governor.
According to the best of my abilities.
According to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Love you. I gotta get my speech. Thank you. Good afternoon. And thank you all. As always, first I have to give honor to God for keeping me, protecting me, and ordering my steps on this journey. It is an honor and privilege to stand before you today to be sworn in for the second term as the Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Illinois. Governor Pritzker has already acknowledged all the constitutional officers and distinguished guests, so I will simply add how grateful I am for your leadership and presence today. Thank you as well to Illinois Appellate Court Justice Fredrina M. Lyle for administering the oath of office, and to my co-pastor, Michelle Dodson, for your powerful prayer over me this morning. My husband, Brian, is one of the smartest, kindest, and coolest brothers I know. He is my best friend, has a mind filled with random facts, apparently so he's ready if Jeopardy ever calls, and reminds me daily that it's not about who I am, but whose I am. I thank God for you and I love you, babe. And to our 4 beautiful daughters, Tyler, Cassidy, Ryan, and Mackenzie, you are my 4 heartbeats. You help me to stay grounded in an unpredictable world, and I love you for that. To my father, Henry, a Navy veteran who turns 90 this March, who marched, who marched in Selma alongside Dr. King and the late John Lewis, and always taught me that there is never a time to be silent in the face of injustice. And to my mother, Velma, who 7 years ago joined the ancestors and didn't make it to see me make history as the first Black lieutenant governor of our state, whose gentle hands and loving arms taught me that just because the world may seem cold and hard doesn't mean that we have to respond in kind. Thank you both for raising me to be the strong woman that I am today. To the dedicated state employees and leaders in our administration, including the entire team in the office of the Lieutenant Governor, I so appreciate you. Thank you for making me a better public servant. And I also want to thank all of the election workers, volunteers, and voters who turned out in this election cycle to prove, when we needed to, that we don't take our democracy for granted. Lastly, thank you to our Governor, JB Pritzker, for your tireless commitment to our state and its people. When we began this journey, we resolved to roll up our sleeves, do the hard work, and provide the governance and leadership our citizens deserve. We didn't know what our first term had in store for us, yet we continue to meet every challenge we face. I am grateful for your friendship and am proud to serve alongside you. 4 years ago, I stood before you and shared the story of my family history, recorded by my grandmother and tucked into the Bible upon which I took my oath of office then and now. It spanned the roots planted by my great-great-grandfather, William Stevens, and his twin brother, Daniel, who were born into slavery and after emancipation cultivated a community by tending to the land. To the story of my maternal grandfather, Wilbur Slaughter, one of the early members of the Dearborn Realtists that fought for the right of every person, no matter their color, to become homeowners. This history is a record of how my ancestors exemplified greatness in the way wildflowers that burst through cracks in the sidewalk are a reminder that the earth lives, breathes, and blossoms with us and for us. The story of my family is one of deep commitment to our communities and our fellow citizens. My ancestors understood the importance of being a part of something larger, something bigger than ourselves. This history that lives within me, that I carry in my DNA, shows me that even now as Lieutenant Governor, it's not just about what I do, but who I am and being who I am authentically and unapologetically. In this role, I can dedicate myself to showing the people of Illinois the fullness of who you are, of who we are. I understand, just as my ancestors did over 100 years ago, that caring for each other is the only way forward. I understand that regardless of our differences, we have a responsibility to each other. In a world that has put us on guard, we must always strive to see each other. As I have traveled our great state, I've talked to people who relate to my story and experiences, people who share my viewpoints, and also met many people who do not. Nevertheless, these people and stories all make up a beautiful tapestry that is our state, our community. These experiences and interactions led me to ask myself, what can I learn from the stories of others? What can we all gain if we open our minds and our hearts to the experiences that are different than our own? And if we refuse to listen to each other, how do we give everyone a voice in the story that we're writing right now? These questions brought me here today. And on the journey of these last 4 years, these questions revealed all that we can build together when we listen and learn from each other. In Cairo, a community deprived of the needs for a secure, healthy life that has gone 7 years without a grocery store, we went there and asked, how can we help? We reached out to those who have been accustomed to being unheard, ignored, and silenced because they are a part of the Illinois story. With residents leading the way, I was focused on convening stakeholders and community members through our Ag Connects Us All initiative to demonstrate that empathy is an action. And in just a few short weeks, I'm excited to go back to Cairo to cut the ribbon on a cooperative grocery store that will be run by the community and for the community. As chair of the Illinois Council on Women and Girls, we asked, how can we decide what's best for the girls in our state if they don't have an outlet to tell us what they need? And that's why we made space for them at the table. And we have now named the second round of 19 girls who will bring their diverse voices to advise us, the governor and the General Assembly, on supporting them and creating the safe spaces they need through the Girls Committee. And in communities across our state that have been harmed by the war on drugs and the violence and trauma caused by punitive policies, we asked, how can the groups most impacted be part of changing the narrative with us? Through the Restore, Reinvest, and Renew program, we have invested more than $144 million back into those communities so that young people in Aurora and Peoria and East St. Louis can play sports and after-school programs and learn the skills to thrive in school and beyond. On the R3 board that I chair, members of these communities in every corner of our state, including and especially those impacted by the justice system, have a seat beside me. And I'm so proud of the difference they have made with their insights. Our path forward is about understanding that the issues that matter to so many of us are not bound by geography, nor are the solutions contained to one person or one idea. From the student in Edwardsville who is studying to become a teacher to give back to their community by uplifting the next generation, to the daughter in Redbud who is caring for her mother with Alzheimer's, a story that I related to deeply, having cared for my own mother. We all have the power to build the future we want and deserve because we all have a voice. This is what I want for our state, for our community. It's more than an agenda. It's being what our state, our country, and our world needs us to be. As I approach the next 4 years, I often think of the African philosophy of Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. We are each shaped by our relationships with each other. How we interact with each other should reflect our inherent human connectedness. Ubuntu communicates a spirit of togetherness and a willingness to work towards a common goal for the sake of our humanity. We can accomplish so much if we rise up and demonstrate the best of humanity. Know that your heartache in the face of strife, your hopes for your children, your faith in tomorrow. I listen to you as you share these feelings with me, and I carry them with me every single day. These reflections into your resilience and perspectives have driven the work that we have done so far. And the work we have left to do is centered on bringing people together, creating opportunity for all, and carrying out a vision for Illinois that leaves no one behind. My ancestors demonstrated a deep faith in their dreams and the world that they were creating for their grandchildren. I have that same faith. Like each of you, I want to create a better world for my grandchildren, just as my grandparents did for me. The roots from which I have grown and the shoulders upon which I stand have led me here today in service to you, our state, and our country. Illinois, I see you. I see you. I see you. Thank you for trusting me with this responsibility, and thank you for being a part of our story. Thank you. Thank you.
And now, to swear the oath of office of Attorney General, please welcome Attorney General Kwame Raoul, accompanied by Dr. Lisa Moore, Che Raoul, John Moore, Sidney Jackson, and Reverend Dr. Otis Moss III. The oath will be administered by the Honorable Joy V. Cunningham.
Place your hand on the Bible. Repeat after me and say your name where appropriate. I,
Kwame Raoul,
do solemnly swear
that
I will support the Constitution
I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of
the Office of Attorney General according to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
Well, good afternoon, Illinois. First, I would like to give thanks and honor to God for his mercy and his generosity. It is my honor to acknowledge the presence of my pastor, Reverend Dr. Otis Moss III, pastor of Trinity United Church of Christ, the greatest church this side of the River Jordan. Thank you for being here today, Pastor, and thank you for your prayer this morning, and thank you for reminding us in church yesterday to get our spiritual refill. I must also recognize two people in the judiciary, each of whom I refer to as my big sister, fellow Trinitarian Federal District Court Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman, who administered my oath 4 years ago, and my other big sister and mentor, Illinois Supreme Court Justice Joy Cunningham, who swore me in moments ago. I offer up my heartfelt gratitude to you for your steadfast mentorship through the years. I want to give a shout out to my biological sisters who could not make it here this time. They were with me the last time, Edwidge and Ninaj Raoul. So I was told I only got 3 minutes to deliver my remarks. And so I got to tell you, I'm going to fail at my first task as in my second term. However, in the interest of time, the entirety of my remarks will be the thank you section of my speech. First, to my wife, Dr. Lisa Moore, who is always by my side. Thank you, sweetheart. I had the distinct honor of watching my wife be a true hero during our unprecedented pandemic. Day after day, she would faithfully head to the hospital at a time when many of us were safe in our homes. I watched her be a hero one night early in my first term while we were eating dinner at Gibson's, and she administered life-saving care to a woman who was choking on her steak on the table right next to us. She saved a life, yes, but the real cool thing about it is now when I forget to make a reservation, we get into Gibson's anyway, not because I'm the AG, because she's a celebrity over there now. To my son, Che, who was unfortunately robbed of a college graduation ceremony when the pandemic hit, notwithstanding the fact that he had earned honors for his academic performance at Lake Forest College. Son, you have amazing character. Che had the strength of character to quit his first job as a manager at a fulfillment center because he didn't support having to impose discipline quotas and unfair working conditions on his subordinates. Che embodies the spirit of my Workplace Protection Bureau, which has done an amazing job of protecting Illinois workers from misclassification, wage theft, discrimination, and unsafe working conditions. In Illinois, we protect working families, and I want to thank you, Che, for affirming that spirit. My daughter, Ms. Ann, who could not be here, she recently graduated from the University of Missouri and now desires to attend law school and become a public interest lawyer. Go figure. I was so pleased to drive into the state of Missouri to attend her graduation last year, but not as nearly happy as I was to drive out of Missouri and get her the hell out of a state that does not respect a woman's right to make decisions about her body. Thank you, Ms. Zahn, for reminding me how dedicated I have to be to protecting those rights, and we're in court doing so. I think as highly of my daughter as I do my Solicitor General, who has expertly argued before the D.C. Court of Appeals that the ERA is the 28th Amendment of the United States Constitution. When she's about to become a lawyer, I want my daughter to someday to be able to hold up her right hand and swear under oath to protect the Constitution of the United States of America. But I want that to be a Constitution that protects her as an equal. My stepson, John, is a student at Morehouse College. Pastor Moss, he is a Morehouse man in the making. On the heels of George Floyd's murder, he and my daughter had vigorous debates with me on issues connected to police reform. Those debates influenced me to take action and convene law enforcement partners to agree on language in the Safety Act that would lead to greater trust in law enforcement, better training for officers, and greater accountability for bad actors. In other words, the Safety Act language enhances our ability to maintain constitutional and professional policing throughout the state of Illinois. I want to thank the chiefs of police, the sheriffs, and the state's attorneys for coming to the table in good faith. My niece and goddaughter, Sydney Jackson, graduated with honors in computer engineering from Johns Hopkins University and then got her master's degree in computer science from there as well. Sydney has been instrumental in educating me about the good and the bad of technology. On account of conversations with her, I am proud that we are leading an effort, along with other state AGs, to investigate social media platforms that pose potential dangers to our children. I'm also happy that our criminal team is investigating the criminal use of online platforms to monetize proceeds of organized retail crime for other criminal use. I was happy to attend Sydney's graduation a few years ago, and during that ceremony, the commencement speaker was Brian Stevenson, and he delivered a powerful address. It turns out he was also her brother's commencement speaker 2 years later. He said that there is a justice deficit in this country. He said, we have a criminal justice system that will treat you better if you are rich and guilty than if you are poor and innocent. Those words ring relevant today as we prepare for arguments before our state's high court with regards to the Pretrial Fairness Act. Consistent with our constitutional presumption of innocence, we should not hold people in jail simply because they are poor. We cannot continue to criminalize poverty. Importantly, I want to thank my outstanding staff. They say that when you're an incumbent running for re-election, that your best campaigning is what you have done while in office. There were certain matters that I expected to take on at the outset of my term in 2019. I knew we had to begin the implementation stage of the consent decree with the Chicago Police Department and work towards a model of constitutional policing. I knew we had to continue work on behalf of survivors of abuse in the Catholic Church. I knew we had to continue protecting communities from sexually violent people, and I knew we would have to protect consumers from fraud, price gouging, the opioid crisis, and predatory student loans. And I knew we would have to fight policies that were put in place by the incumbent president at the time that I was sworn in. Many of those policies threaten environmental protections, health care access. Some encourage inhumane treatment of immigrants, and some violated the rights of the LGBTQ community. I also knew we had to fight the rise in hate. My staff has risen to the task on all these things expected. But I've got to tell you that what impressed me most about my staff was their ability to take on all of the things that were unexpected. I did not expect that we would be partnering with other state AGs and other lawyers nationally to literally save our democracy. And then there was the unprecedented coronavirus that hit us in the spring of 2020. Our Workplace Rights Bureau had to rise to the occasion to protect those whom we learned to call essential workers from unsafe working conditions. Whether in person or virtually, my staff also had to battle countless frivolous legal actions that sought to undermine life-saving emergency protocols that had been put in place by our governor and other public health officials. Policies which have demonstrably saved lives in the state of Illinois as compared to surrounding states that were more lax. Yeah, you could clap to that. We were forced into this predicament while working from remote locations, which meant we were heavily reliant on technology. We certainly did not expect at that moment for our office to be hit by a crippling cyber attack. I'm proud to say that the ransomware attack did not stop my staff's work. I want to sincerely thank you for your resilience and ability to adapt and continue representing the people of the state of Illinois. I'm also proud of the relationships we built with our law enforcement partners. We are one team. Notwithstanding the fact that I joke that I'm currently the favorite defendant of about 65 state's attorneys, I think it's important for the public to know that we've enjoyed a good history of working together. I work closely with state's attorneys throughout Illinois on the opioid crisis, prosecuting murder, violent crime, and sophisticated criminal schemes like organized retail crime. And I'm thankful for partnerships with prosecutors and law enforcement from federal, state, and local levels. I want to recognize and thank U.S. Attorney Greg Harris, who I believe is here today, for allowing our office to partner with his to fight violent crime and also protect children from online child predators. Since 2019, we've also partnered with the United States Secret Service's National Threat Assessment Center on multiple training sessions regarding how to detect and prevent mass shootings in schools, places of worship, and other public places. The desperate need for these trainings hit home on July 4th of 2022 in Highland Park. One of our own prosecutors and his wife were wounded during that shooting. One took a bullet to the elbow and the other shrapnel to the back. What was amazing was that prosecutor's desire to return to work. He actually emailed his supervisor that night he was shot and asked for a single day off. He was head of our statewide grand jury unit that has investigated and prosecuted gun trafficking cases. I believe he perfectly exemplifies the dedication of our staff. As I reflect on the Highland Park shooting, I can't help but reflect on the 2 other mass shootings that took place mere weeks later. One mass shooting was in Washington Park on the south side of Chicago, a block away from where I raised my children. The other in Garfield Park on Chicago's west side. Neither of those mass shootings received the same level of media attention as Highland Park. As a matter of fact, it wasn't really until recently we started referring to such shootings as mass shootings, all because of where they occurred. We all need to look in the mirror and ask why that is the case. Illinois and the nation were traumatized by the horrific event that struck Highland Park. People, including myself, were rightfully shocked that such an extreme violence had visited a place like Highland Park. But there should be no neighborhood where we expect gun violence to hit. We shouldn't be surprised when a shooting takes place downtown or in River North, where I currently live. We shouldn't be surprised when we've tolerated them and we've expected them on the west and south side of Chicago, in Rockford, in East St. Louis, on the east side of Springfield, and other economically disadvantaged areas of our state. I'll say about gun violence what I've said about the opioid and heroin crisis. We weren't troubled when we thought they were quarantined to poor inner city neighborhoods. We actually tolerated the impact of the heroin and opioid addiction until it spread to more affluent areas. That should not be our normal, and we should be ashamed. Now, I know I've went long, and I apologize to my constitutional officers, but my final thank you is to someone not here today, my mother. My mom was a praying woman and a devout Catholic from Haiti. My mother made her transition months after I began my first term. She gave me my middle name, Eve. I had always assumed that I'd been given the name of a distant relative. The truth is, she named me after St. Eve, the patron saint of lawyers and abandoned children, and the advocate of the poor. My mom explained that she said the prayer to St. Eve every night since I was born. Help us to love justice as you love it. Help us to know how to defend our rights without prejudice to others, and seeking above all reconciliation and peace. Rouse up defenders to plead the cause of oppressed so that justice may be done in law. I view that as my responsibility as Attorney General, to serve the abandoned children. And in Illinois, we have abandoned our children. Gun violence has surpassed auto accidents as a #1 killer of children. I'm asking our legislature to give me the power. Give me the power to go after those in the industry on behalf of our children who we've abandoned. Do not Do not pass half measures and go home. Do not surrender to the politics of self-preservation on behalf of our children. Please do not. I want to thank you all for tolerating me. I know I went way, way beyond 3 minutes, but it's on behalf of our abandoned children. I want to just end by, I love you too. Saying this is truly the work of my life. I got more work to do. May God bless the state of Illinois. May God bless the United States of America. And may God bless and help us protect our abandoned children. Thank you.
And now, to swear the oath of office of Secretary of State, please welcome Secretary of State-elect Alexander Janulius, accompanied by Josephine Janulius, Anna Janulius, Sophia Janulius, and Alexia Janulius. The oath will be administered by the Honorable Joy V. Cunningham.
You're gonna stand right here? Right here. Mommy's gonna stand in the middle. Move back a little, girls.
Place your hand on the Bible, please. Your right hand.
Right hand.
Your right hand. And repeat after me and state your name where appropriate. I,
Alexander Janulius,
do solemnly swear
that
I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Secretary of State according to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
Thank you, Justice. Thank you. You did it. Kisses. Love you. Oh, I love you. Thank you. Thank you, Governor Pritzker. Thank you, my fellow constitutional officers, and to the people of the great state of Illinois. I also want to thank my amazingly selfless wife, Josephine, for being the light of my life, my 3 little honey girls who you just had a chance to meet, Anna, Sophia, and Alexia, my mom, my brothers and their families, and all the families and friends that came down here, and all the Greeks that apparently came down from Chicago. Thank you so much. There have been some long speeches, so I'll try and be kind of brief here today. I do want to take a second to especially recognize one man in particular for his years of public service to our great state. Please join me in thanking the legend passing me the baton, my very good friend, Secretary of State Jesse White. Sixteen years ago, I stood on the stage and thanked the people of Illinois for placing their trust in me. It was one of the most extraordinary moments of my life. My heart was filled with optimism, energy, and enthusiasm for being allowed the honor of serving my state. And I feel those exact same emotions today. But I feel another emotion today, one that comes from the experience of having served the people of Illinois. Responsibility. The people of Illinois have placed an enormous amount of trust in me in all of us. You trust us to help realize your greatest hopes, and you trust us to keep some of your greatest fears from coming to pass. Today, more than ever, I appreciate the awesome responsibility of being the steward of your trust, especially now when so many people have been disheartened and have lost faith in the politics of our time. After all, think of what has happened to our nation since I last served 12 years ago. A violent and deadly insurrection on our capital, a failure to keep our children safe in their classrooms and our streets from gun violence, a dangerous turning back of the clock on a woman's right to choose, an inability to put a dent in the most pressing issue of our time, climate change, and a dangerous assault on voting rights, and the emergence of the once unimaginable concept that individuals don't have to accept the results of an election if they disagree with them. Together, today, we gather to honor the sacred results of a democratic process whereby government is chosen by the governed. Not since the earliest days of our nation do we fully appreciate the importance of what we're doing today. We celebrate here today a new chapter in Illinois, but we also celebrate our time-honored system of a peaceful, respectful transfer of power and the sanctity of your vote. We must protect these rights at all costs, and we must commit to doing better. We must do better for the working men and women of Illinois who, like the incredible Heart Marks workers I met in 2009, are not looking for handouts, but just the opportunity for work and a chance to build a better life for themselves and their families. We have to do better for the children of Illinois who deserve our help in making up for all that was lost during the challenging days of the COVID crisis. We must do better for those who are seeking the promise of America for themselves and their families. We must do better, and I believe that we can do better. That is why I ran for public office once again after all these years. After watching all these developments that have undermined trust in our democracy, I realized that expressing outrage on Twitter and at the ballot box wasn't enough anymore. I remembered the lesson that my parents taught me growing up, that there are two types of people in this world. One that sees a problem and sits back on their couch and complains about it. The other that gets up and does something about it. Well, I'm getting up and doing something about the problems we all face because I want to fight. I want to fight for this state and this country, which I love so very much. And I want to show, thank you. And I want to show my 3 little girls that in life, service to a greater good is something, I cry whenever I talk about my kids. So. Service to a greater good is something that everyone must strive for, but especially to those who much has been given. And as I stand here and speak about the American dream, I think about my parents, my family. They have given me everything, especially my dad, who I know is watching from above. They came to this country as immigrants, and when they came here, they had nothing but their hopes and their aspirations. Together, they struggled and made countless sacrifices for their 3 boys, but they built a life, a successful business, they raised children who have achieved beyond their wildest imagination, and they truly lived the American dream. I am so proud of my parents. I am so proud of my family. I am here because of them. A loud round of applause. I am thrilled to be celebrating with you all today, but today for me and our team, today is a work day. When I was state treasurer, my very first day in office, I passed the most wide-ranging comprehensive ethics package in state government, and today, as soon as I leave here, I will sign new executive orders ensuring ethics and integrity in the Secretary of State's office, transparency, good government, and using technology and innovation to eliminate the time tax that too many of you are paying every day just to access simple government services will be my administration's focus. The Secretary, yes, thank you. The Secretary of State's office can make your lives better, and we will be relentless in making sure it does exactly that. And I will always, always fight for the disenfranchised and the underserved. So thank you, Illinois, for putting your trust in me and allowing me today, in front of my mom, my entire family and friends, my wife and my 3 little girls, to be the first person in 24 years to be able to say thank you to the people of Illinois for making me the new Secretary of State of the great state of Illinois. And as I promised you 16 years ago, when I was a 30-year-old kid up on this stage, I will always fight for you, and I will never, ever let you down. God bless you, God bless the United States of America, and God bless the people of Illinois. Thank you so much.
And now, to swear the oath of office of Comptroller, please welcome Comptroller Susana A. Mendoza, accompanied by David M. Sostak, David Q. Sostak, and Susana H. Mendoza. The oath will be administered by the Honorable Rosanna P. Fernandez.
Ok, usted se va a parar aquí en esta. Ahí, sí. Un poco para atrás.
All right, good morning. Please put your right hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand and put your left hand on the Bible. And please repeat after me. I, please state your name.
I, Susana A. Mendoza,
do solemnly swear
that
I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Comptroller of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability, so help me God.
To the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations, Madam Comptroller.
Love you. Love you too. Love you, honey. Of course. ¿Me da la bendición? Okay. Thank you. Take my mom back. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Well, hello, hello. Muy buenas tardes. Good afternoon, Illinois. And I want to start by thanking God, as so many others have done before me, for the many, many blessings in my life, including this very special moment right now with all of you. Thank you to the Honorable Rosanna Patricia Fernandez for swearing me into my 3rd term as your Illinois State Controller. Thank you to the Reverend Dr. Lisa Branham for her prayers over me this morning. Those are so appreciated. Thank you, Reverend. Congratulations to Governor Pritzker, Lieutenant Governor Stratton, Attorney General Raoul, Treasurer Frericks, and Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias. I look forward to working with this wonderful team with Speaker Welch, President Harmon, Leader McCombie, and Leader Curran, and the 103rd General Assembly as we continue moving our state forward, because improving our state should be a bipartisan affair. I want to thank my amazing family. Let's start with my mother, Susanna, the original firecracker. My godmother, Maria, and my in-laws, Ed and Helene Sostak, who I think are right over there, yes. Thank you for being here. My greatest blessing, our 9-year-old son, David, who's obviously excited to be missing school today. But let's be honest, what a great civic lesson to see his mom being sworn in for another term, right? I'm so proud of my son, David, and I am so happy and blessed to be his mommy. My most important thank you goes to the unsung hero in my success as your controller, the yin to my yang, my husband, David. He is my anchor. He truly is. He's my anchor. He's my #1 advisor, my best friend. He's my rock, and he inspires me every day. And let's be honest, he is very easy on the eyes. I love you so much, honey. And thank you so much to the incredible team that I'm blessed to lead at the Controller's Office. I see some Controller's employees out there. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you for all of your hard work and dedication to the people of Illinois. To the men and women of organized labor, thank you for always having my back. I got yours too. And to my beloved voters of Illinois, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for choosing me to serve another term as your Illinois State Controller. I am deeply humbled and grateful for your overwhelming support. A few years ago, at the Illinois State Fair, the one and only Secretary of State, Jesse White, pulled me aside and he said, "Hey, Susanna, come here. You want to know how to become the #1 vote getter in the state of Illinois?" Now, of course, I wanted to hear the secret from the only statewide elected official to ever win all 102 counties in the state of Illinois. The man right there. He looked me in the eye, you'll remember this, Secretary, and what he told me, this was a secret. He said, "You show up. You show up." He said, when someone tells you that it's not worth your time to travel 6 hours to an event where only 10 people show up, you show up anyway. He reminded me that those 10 people matter, and they're going to know that you care about them. I know you care. That's what you told me, Secretary. Thank you. I do, and I promise you that I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep showing up. Let me tell you, it's the best part of the job, meeting voters and finding out what I can do to make their lives better, being their voice, and restoring their faith in our state. In November, I asked for your trust through your vote. And thanks to you showing up for me, I stand before you as the new highest vote getter in the state of Illinois. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you, Secretary, for not being on the ballot, because I would have not come in first place had you still been on. Let's be honest. But thank you also, Secretary, for your years of selfless dedication to our state, for your friendship, and for your advice. And I promise, as I've already said, to always show up for Illinoisans the way you have done so beautifully for your entire career. Thank you. Now, people told me I was crazy when I first decided to run for state controller in 2016 during the budget impasse, the worst fiscal crisis in our state's history. Our bill backlog had peaked at $16.7 billion of unpaid bills. Our rainy day fund was non-existent, with less than $60,000 in it. We had suffered 20 years of consecutive credit downgrades. The average vendor waiting to do business with the state of Illinois had to wait 210 business days to get paid. Back then, I promised you that if you sent me to Springfield, that I'd deliver a complete and transparent financial turnaround for the state of Illinois. And I delivered on my promise. No more bill backlog, it's gone. And I paid it down before receiving a penny of federal ARPA stimulus dollars. 6 full credit upgrades on my watch. You heard that right, 6 full credit upgrades. A record high rainy day fund of over $1 billion and growing. This is great news. In fact, last night, the General Assembly approved an additional $850 million more towards our rainy day fund. We are on a roll. My oldest bill today, no longer 210 days on average. My oldest bill today is 10 days old. When people say, you should run government like a business, I say, how about we run it better than a business? That's what I'm proving we can do here in the state of Illinois. All of my hard work to help people and fix our state's finances, it's to get Illinois ready for its growth spurt. And we're ready because Illinois is the beating heart of this nation. From the bustling streets of Chicago to the expansive farmland of rural Illinois, to southern Illinois towns like Cairo, where we're fighting to bring that Riverport project to life. And we get things done when we all pull together. We want to be the state that people look at to consider how to build their wealth, grow their families, and grow their businesses. I love Illinois with all of my heart. For those of you who voted for me, thank you for trusting me with another term as your controller. For those who didn't vote for me, know that I will work as passionately for you as I will for my own family. After all, Illinois is my heart, and each and every one of you, regardless of your party preference, is in my heart. I will work hard to earn and keep your trust. Lastly, I want to make a promise to my son David and to all of the Illinois children. I will live to make you proud. I will live to make you proud, and I will approach my new term with an eye on the endless possibilities for our state, our beautiful state, through the excited and hopeful eyes of my child, and with the children of Illinois front and center in my thoughts and in my heart. Illinois' future is bright, and so is yours. I see you right there, Lucas. I'm talking to you, buddy. And all the other kids. I will do my part to leave you a state that you can be proud of, with endless possibilities for your future. It is my honor to serve you all. Thank you, and may God bless you and keep you. Que Dios me los bendiga y me los cuide para siempre.
And now, to swear the oath of office of Treasurer, please welcome Treasurer Michael Frericks, accompanied by Erica Frericks, Ella Frericks, Jim Frericks, and Bernice Frericks. The oath will be administered by the Honorable Mary Kay O'Brien.
stop here. Give her.
Ready to proceed?
Okay.
You raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Michael Frericks,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Treasurer
the duties of the office of Treasurer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Very much. Thank you. There's my mom. Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. I want to congratulate my fellow constitutional officers, and I want to say some thanks. I want to say thank you to my father. My father's a retired Teamsters truck driver. My mother is a retired AFSCME secretary from the University of Illinois, and they raised me with a set of beliefs that have shaped who I am. Thanks. I want to thank my wife, Erica, and my daughter, Ella, for bringing me untold joy and happiness in my life. And I want to thank you, the brave and hardy, patient souls who have sat through all of these speeches to make it to mine. Thank you. Thank you. You know, this has been a really great year. I got married. I became a dog owner. I got reelected. A lot of my friends got reelected. We passed the Workers' Rights Amendment. And a couple of weeks after the election, my wife let me know that this year we will be growing our family. I'd like to say this 2022 was an exceptional year, with the exception of the last month. See, 1 month ago, on December 9th, State Senator Scott Bennett passed away. The Senate lost a hilarious and hardworking colleague. His young family lost a devoted and loving husband. And I lost a true friend. And for those who know me in politics, I try to be optimistic. I try to see the good in every situation, but this one has been tough. The only real good I can find is it brought home to me that none of us are guaranteed a tomorrow, and that we should make the most of the todays we have. It reiterated to me that we should work to do the most good for the people of the state while we're here and while we have this opportunity. Now, 8 years ago, I inherited an office that was mired in mediocrity, but I am proud to say that we have changed that. We have made many positive changes. I'm excited that we came in, and we have since taking office made over $1.5 billion for the state of Illinois in interest income. $1.5 billion that doesn't have to be raised in taxes. The year before I came in, we helped municipalities and local units of government save and invest money. They made $50,000 in that year. Today, we are making $2 million per day. We took an unclaimed property system that was mired in the past and drug it into the 21st century, and as a result, we are a national leader, returning over $1.6 billion to Illinois families, businesses, and nonprofits. We took a college savings plan with under 400,000 accounts and have grown it to over 800,000 accounts, from $7 billion in assets under management to over $15 billion in assets under management, and received top ratings from independent rating analyst Morningstar. We didn't stop there. We set up a new savings program to help people save for their retirement so that more Illinoisans can enjoy their golden years and have a retirement with dignity. And thanks to legislation passed by Senator Scott Bennett, we set up a savings program to help people with disabilities have a brighter future, and it is now helping tens of thousands of people have their parents put them on a pathway to a more successful future. But it's another legislative fight that Senator Bennett engaged in that I want to talk a little bit about today. See, there was a coal-fired power plant in his district that had been dumping toxic coal ash into pits next to a national scenic river. Now, that company did that, and it was a way to save money. I'm sure at some point in the past, some CEO making that decision helped to boost their profits by doing it this way. But what happened was, years down the road, there were costs to pay. And that company has to pay millions and millions of dollars. Now, these are risks based on decisions that companies are making. And as the chief investment officer, when we are investing funds for college savings, for retirement, we are long-term investors. We want to know about those risks so that we can make informed decisions about our investments. And we have been doing that for the last 8 years. We have been engaging with corporations. We've been voting our proxies. We've been pushing them to do right for the long term. See, when you treat your workers poorly, when you slash their wages or cut their benefits, when you create unsafe work conditions, that may actually save you money in the short term and may get you a nice bonus that year. But we know that in the long term, you're going to lose human capital. You're going to have less productive employees, and you're going to risk them striking, which will ultimately cost your company money. You may be able to save money by polluting the waters and the air around your company, but long term, it is going to cost you more money. And we also know that if you look at the great diversity of our state and you welcome them all into your companies and onto your boards, you will benefit. Research has shown you will be more productive. And so we engage with those companies. We ask them to look at things like their environmental impact, their relationship with their workforce, and their commitment to diversity. And we know that when we do this together, we are stronger. And so we have worked with other state treasurers. We have worked with union pension funds. We have worked with coalitions like the Human Capital Management Coalition, like Climate Action 100+, and like the Midwest Investors Diversity Initiative. And I can tell you, our work has been noticed because we have received the attention of the fossil fuels industry. And they are funding a national campaign right now, working with red state legislators, attorneys general, and state treasurers to try and undermine our rights as shareholders. They want us to invest in the dark. They don't want us to ask questions. They say, trust the CEOs, they know what's best. But we know numerous examples where they have made decisions for the short run, but we invest for the long term. Yes. When politicians in Texas and in Florida and in West Virginia try and take away our rights as state treasurers, as rights as investors, to be responsible in our investments, we will fight back. We will continue to engage with corporations to make sure they understand the value in treating your workforce with respect. They understand the value of treating the environment with dignity. They understand the value of diversity so that we can truly have a country of one nation of liberty and justice for all. I don't know how many tomorrows I have, but I know that you gave me 4 more years. And as long as I have breath in these lungs, I will stand up and I will speak out for our retirees, for our workers, for our environment, and for all citizens in the state of Illinois. Thank you, Illinois, for giving me this opportunity. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you.
And now, to perform I Sing Because I'm Happy, the Southern Illinois Children's Reunion Choir, accompanied by Michael Arthur.
I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I sing, oh yes, I sing because I'm happy. I sing, oh yes, I sing because I'm free. For His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I sing, oh yes, I sing because I'm happy. I sing, oh yes, I sing because I'm free. For His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I'm so happy, yes. I'm so happy, yes, I am. I'm so happy, yes. I'm so happy, yes, I am. I'm so happy, yes. I'm so happy, yes, I am. I'm so happy, yes. I'm so happy, yes, I am. I'm so happy, yes. I'm so happy, yes, I am. I'm so happy, yes. I'm so happy, yes, I am. For His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me.
To deliver the benediction, please welcome the Reverend Dr. Ira J. Ackrey.
May we all stand and let us pray. Most holy and everlasting God, as we depart both individually and collectively from this sacred gathering within the capital of our great state, We pray, dear God, for the covering and courage of those who sit in the seats of power. We leave here today to feed the poor, to clothe the naked, and to take care of the sick. We lift up our governor, our lieutenant governor, and all the constitutional officers of our state as they continue to lead our state in such a time as this. Give them the wisdom and the sensitivity for the least, the last, and the left behind. Lord, teach us all how to seek justice and to resist all evil. Lord, I plead with you to make us one. We pray that the Pritzker administration continues to bend in the path of protection, parity, and progress until justice runs down like water and righteousness a mighty stream. As we leave this company of consecrated leaders, we say, go now to your realm of service. Go now and do justice. Go now and love mercy. Go now and make peace. We ask these blessings and this prayer in the name of the God of the trailblazers of justice, upon whose shoulders we stand: Harriet Tubman, Jane Addams, Cesar Chavez, Dr. Martin Luther King, Schwerner, Cheney, and Goodman, and Fannie Lou Hamer. We ask this in the name of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in the name of the God of Sarah, Rebecca, and Rachel, and in the name of that one who was born outside the inn, raised in the ghetto like me, in the name of that one who was baptized in Jordan, arrested by the Romans, in the name of that one who was crucified by the empire, yet raised by the power of God. It's in that mighty name that we confidently pray. And all of the people said, amen, amen, amen.
The swearing-in ceremony has concluded. On behalf of Governor JB Pritzker and all of the constitutional officers, thank you for attending the 2023 Illinois Inauguration.